Some of the most damaging relationships are the hardest ones to explain, and they don't have to look extreme in order to be deeply harmful. Welcome to the Covert Narcissism Podcast, where we make sense of what never quite made sense. If you've been listening for a while, you may already understand what's happening in your relationship. You can see the patterns, you can name the behaviors, but maybe you still feel stuck in the same cycle. This is where coaching comes in. It's not about learning more, it's about having the support to finally apply what you already know and begin moving forward. You need a coach. If you're ready for that next step, I invite you to join me in my coaching program. You can learn more about it at covertnarcissism.com. At this point, you've done the research on covert narcissism and the fight or flight response. You've worked hard to get your reactions under control. You know, those reactions that just went over the top, that made you look like the crazy one. Maybe you looked in the mirror and wondered who you had become. You were the one yelling back. You were the one shaking with anger or frozen with panic. When you look at yourself one day and don't recognize yourself anymore, this is a terrifying wake-up call, and it is time to do something about this. So you survived that day, and you got to work. Books, podcast, coaching, therapy. Your reactions have backed off, and you see glimpses of yourself once again. And you're proud of yourself now, and you should be, because you can actually regulate now in the heat of the moment, and that is a major accomplishment. See, now when the phone rings and you see your spouse's name or maybe your ex's name, and you feel that old tightening start in your chest, but now you catch it. You stay regulated enough to see it. You observe it with curiosity. You match it with physical energy. Maybe you release it and you ground yourself. Within a few minutes, you're not standing frozen in the cereal aisle at the grocery store anymore. You're back and able to continue your shopping. That's real progress, and I don't ever want to overlook that. But later that same night, lying in bed, the crisis is long over, your body still won't settle. Your jaw is tight, your teeth are clenched, your shoulders are up around your ears somewhere, your neck and your back are a wreck with all the tension, sleep is fitful, and the headache in the morning can beat any hangover headache all day long. You weren't in a fight or flight moment while you were lying in the bed. Nothing bad was happening in the moment, nothing was wrong right then, but yet you still felt braced. Your system is on high alert. It doesn't know how to come back down from the overdrive. It's like being stuck in the on position. Now, let me give you another scenario. Imagine working on your regulatory skills to the point that even circular conversations no longer knock you offline. It took a while, but you finally started setting boundaries around this. I remember going through this, and I developed boundary skills that started cutting these circular conversations off before they went too far. First, it was just, excusing myself to the bathroom. I know that's not setting the firmest boundary in my life, and it's a bit of a cop-out, but at least initially it worked. Now, while I was there, I would splash cold water on my face and do 50 jumping jacks to settle that fight or flight system down. And in the moment, this certainly helped. And that's exactly what I needed. Getting ramped up does not help anyone work on their boundary setting skills. Well, eventually, I learned how to set boundaries, like even out loud to him, how to say them. Things like, I'm not comfortable having this conversation right now. Let's talk about it this weekend. Or, I'm not going to defend my perspective or my memory, but I'm willing to watch a movie with you. Now, he, of course, didn't like it. Most narcissistic people don't. And sometimes it certainly blew up in my face, which, in reality just gave me another opportunity to work on staying regulated in the moment. And sometimes I succeeded and sometimes I didn't. But the boundaries that I was setting were reasonable. And so I learned to honor my boundaries, no matter how he responded. I used the tools that I had found at the time, and I got through it. But even when I was successful at setting boundaries, I noticed that I was still rehearsing these conversations in my head hours later, sometimes days later. The ruminating still dominated my mind, even though the boundary was successful. I was no longer in a fight or flight response, but I was still preparing. I was still arguing in my mind. I made some of the best arguments and counter arguments ever that never got spoken out loud. I was still bracing for danger. My system just couldn't come down from the hypervigilance and the overfunctioning. Again, I was stuck in this forever on position. And this is what I want you to understand this week. Managing the spike of adrenaline is important, absolutely. But it is not the same thing as lowering the actual baseline. You can get very good at catching yourself in a fight or flight moment, and I firmly believe that we all need to do this. This is how we begin the process of retaking control of who we are, our character, our sense of self. But even with that, we can still be walking around every single day with a nervous system that is running in overdrive, heightened, on edge, chronically anxious, even when nothing is actively happening. Your body isn't just reacting to danger anymore. It's living there in a state of preparedness. It's like a guard dog sleeping with one eye open all the time. It never actually fully relaxes. Now, that's a good guard dog, but it is exhausting to live your life as a guard dog. We're not built that way. It's crazy that learning to relax and let our guard down is something we actually need to practice and work towards. But I am confident that many of you can relate to all this. Last week, we talked about what to do in the crisis moment, how to slow down your fight or flight system when things are ramping up. And I gave you 8 tools that you could use. This week is about something different. This is about bringing the baseline itself down so that you're not white knuckling your way through every ordinary moment of your day. Now, last week, we named the acute version of all of this, which was the hypervigilance in the moment. Your body slamming into fight or flight over a phone call, a dinner plan, an evening schedule, an ordinary everyday thing. And that's your nervous system reacting to a specific trigger, a certain event, a specific moment, and then ideally coming back down if you're doing the necessary work here. But today, this isn't about your nervous system spiking and recovering. This is your nervous system that never fully comes back down in the first place. Do you remember the first time your system spiked in this relationship? The first time your brain perceived them, your partner, as a threat, and your system went into orbit with panic and survival mode? I certainly do. And with all of that happening, the spiking throughout this relationship, the no reconciliation, there's no true recovery, your system began learning that this person is not safe for you, that you can't relax around them. And there's a term for this. It's called allostatic load, which is really just a very clinical way of saying that your body has been asked to adapt to chronic stress for so long that adapted has become its new normal. It's adapted and adjusted to this for so many years that that's now your normal. Not calm, not really activated, but just braced all the time. It's this low hum of readiness that's just running underneath everything. Ready to fight, ready to fawn, ready to fix, ready to adjust and adapt or anticipate and expect. You're just constantly at a state of ready, whether they're in the room or not. Well, this is what chronic hypervigilance actually looks like from the inside. It's not the dramatic chest tightening of a specific trigger. It's the jaw that's tight all the time before you've even opened your eyes in the morning. It's the shoulders that live up, near your ears like they're neighbors, regardless of what's happening that day. It's lying in bed at midnight, nothing really wrong per se, nothing happening, and still feeling like you're waiting for something to fall apart and thus unable to sleep. Particularly problematic is that it happens gradually enough that you stop noticing it's not normal. It's not normal to have your shoulders up around your ears all the time. It's not normal for your back to be clenched with tightness all the time. You didn't wake up one day and decide, I think I will hold my shoulders up high all the time. Surely that's good for me, right? That's good posture. No, you didn't think to yourself, my nervous system needs a boost. I think I'll put it in overdrive and leave it there. You just did it. You did all the work that is needed for everyone to survive this narcissistic relationship in your world, and daily you wondered why your shoulders were sore. You didn't put the two pieces together, at least not for many years. You forget that there ever was a version of you whose shoulders weren't like that, whose jaw was not clenched, whose mind went quiet without effort and wasn't overthinking all the time. The baseline shifts so slowly that by the time you notice, you've often been living there for years, maybe even decades. Now, before we get into the practices and tools themselves, I want you to understand why this matters beyond just feeling unpleasant. Because allostatic load isn't just an emotional experience, it's a physical one, and it does have a cost. When your body is repeatedly asked to produce cortisol and adrenaline day after day, year after year, in response to silent treatments, circular conversations, walking on eggshells, wondering which version of them is going to walk through the door, it doesn't fully recover in between. Some residue stays. Your resting heart rate creeps up. Your blood pressure runs a little higher than it should, even on ordinary days. Your digestion suffers because your body has been told over and over that it isn't a safe time to focus on things like digestion. It's never a safe time to do that. And in fact, it's always a safe time to stay alert. Your sleep gets shallower. Even when you're technically getting enough hours, you still don't actually feel rested because part of your brain never fully agrees to power down, like the guard dog with one eye open. Your immune system over time gets weaker because chronic cortisol suppresses it. Some of you have probably been told by your doctors that your labs look fine, and yet you feel exhausted in a way that rest doesn't ever touch. And this is very often the reason why. This is the part that makes prevention so important and not just optional here. This isn't just about feeling calmer, although that matters enormously, on its own. This is about the actual physical cost of asking a body to stay on alert for years for a threat that was never a saber-toothed tiger. It was a person who made ordinary life feel dangerous. On purpose or not, doesn't matter. It was dangerous over and over again. Last week, I gave you 8 tools for the crisis moment, and if you missed that episode, please go back and listen to them. These were quick, physical, built to catch a spike and bring it down fast tools. Okay, they included match and release, cold shock, deep roar, squeeze and drop, circuit breaker, butterfly tap, one of my favorites, weighted pressure, and get curious. These are in the moment when you feel that spike of adrenaline or that surge of anxiety. Well, this week, the 8 tools are very different. They're not just about surviving a moment. These are about thriving in life. They're not about surviving, they're about thriving. These are to slowly and patiently teach a nervous system that's been stuck in the on position what off actually feels like again. Imagine a washing machine that's badly off balance and it's stuck on the spin cycle and it will not stop. It's rattling so hard, it's actually starting to walk itself across the laundry room floor, inch by inch, banging into the dryer, knocking over the detergent, just going and going. Now, you're desperately trying to get it turned off, but the power button isn't really responding to you, and every time you get close, it lurches another foot away from you, shaking too hard to hold still long enough for you to figure out the problem. Well, that's what it's like trying to calm a nervous system down that's been running in overdrive for years. It's not sitting quietly, waiting for you to press one button. It's actively, chaotically running. And every time you think you've got a hand on it, it jumps out of reach again. It lurches across the room, knocking over everything in its path. You can't just walk up calmly and switch it off. You're chasing something that's already in motion, and that's your nervous system. Now, I want to tell you up front that some of this is going to sound a little silly, and good. It's supposed to. You've spent a long time being hypervigilant, careful, as perfect as you can be, and the complete opposite of silly. Some of the healing gets to be fun. It gets to be lighter than everything you've been dealing with. These are things I want you to actually look forward to doing, not one more item on a recovery to-do list that feels like homework. Number one is called the worry spot. If you're like I was, replaying conversations for hours or days on end, arguing your side in your head long after the conversation ended, and then exhausted from all the mental repetition, you need a container for this, or it's going to run all day, every day in the background. Pick a specific location, a special chair, a corner of your room, a certain window that you like to look out. This is your spot to allow your worry or your ruminating to speak. You sit or stand in this space one or no more than 2 times per day, and you speak those worries out loud. Voice them, describe them, get frustrated about them. But set a timer for this. Maybe only 5 minutes, but certainly no more than 10. When the time's up, you actually say out loud, "That's it for now." You stand up and you physically walk away from your worry spot. There's something about the body doing the walking away that lands differently than just trying not to think about it anymore. Your nervous system pays attention to what your body does, not just what your mind decides. Now, even stopping here, this tool is already effective, but it gets better. When rumination shows up and you are not in your worry spot, so this is not a time that you are there allowing that worry to have voice. This is a time for a little bit deeper power of this tool. Tell yourself firmly and honestly, not now. I have a time set aside for this later. Now, some clients of mine actually find it helpful to jot it down so you don't forget. So you do actually give it voice later. That way your mind doesn't keep trying to remind you of it. And this sounds almost too simple to work, but it works because of its simplicity. It gives your mind evidence that the thought does not have to be handled immediately. It takes the urgency off. As soon as you get past the sense of urgency, a lot of our worries lose their power and fade into the background. By the time you get to your worry spot later that day, it may no longer be the big deal that you thought it was. Number 2 is the villain voice. Now let's go back to all that ruminating and arguing that's going on inside your head. This is such a common thing for those of us who have dealt with covert narcissistic abuse. So when you catch yourself, stop and now replay the whole thing in an exaggerated, over-the-top cartoon villain voice. All of it. Their lines, your lines, all of it. Even the huffs, the sighs, the rolling of the eyes, the storming off. Exaggerate all of it in a comical, over-the-top way. Give them the Daffy Duck voice in your head, or even better, the Charlie Brown teacher. Wah, 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 wah. It sounds ridiculous because it is. But that's exactly the point. All of this is ridiculous. It has been from day one. It's about time we start making fun of it, of all their crazy drama, their constant dodging like they're in a war zone. It's very hard for your nervous system to keep treating a scene as a real current threat when it sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon. You're not making light of what happened to you. You're taking the teeth out of their narrative. Number 3 is a letter to future you. When you are having a tough day or a rough patch, write yourself a short letter about how you're doing right now. What's hard, where you feel stuck, what's healing, what you're proud of. Seal it up and set a date a few months out to open it back up. Pick a time frame, maybe 6 months, maybe even a year. This gives your mind an actual tangible container for everything that feels unfinished right now with a real expiration date attached to it. This is the process of stopping that open loop that just runs forever. Every day, the same thoughts and arguments. When you seal the envelope, you close the conversation off in your head. And when you open it later, you get to see in your own handwriting how far you've actually come, which is the kind of evidence your nervous system needs. Number 4 is the doorway reset. Now, this one is kind of unique, and you already walk through dozens of doors every day. Every single one of them can become a small built-in moment of retraining your nervous system. Now, here's how it works. Every time you walk through a doorway, any doorway, all day, every day, your bedroom, the bathroom, your office, the grocery store, it doesn't matter. You take a deep breath and simply notice one thing in the room that you are entering. Keep it simple. The color of the walls, the light coming through a window, a plant on the counter, the sound in the room. You're not looking for anything profound here. You're just giving your brain a small, present moment anchor, something real and current, instead of whatever your mind was still chewing on from the last room. You can also prepare a short phrase that you say to yourself each time you walk through a door, something like, new room, new moment, or this room doesn't know what happened in the last room. I want you to think about what a doorway actually represents. It's a threshold. Whatever was happening in the room behind you, whatever conversation, whatever tension, whatever you were carrying, doesn't have to walk through the doorway with you into the new room. Every doorway is a new opportunity, a clean slate, whether the last room was hard or easy, whether the last 5 minutes were heavy or light. You get to decide every single time that what's ahead isn't automatically a continuation of what's behind you. Say it in your head or under your breath every time you cross a threshold. It sounds small, almost too small to matter, but you're doing this dozens of times a day, which means you're giving your nervous system dozens of small, repeated pieces of evidence every single day that the next room, the next moment, doesn't have to carry the weight of the one before it. Number 5 is the off-duty ritual. Pick one small, specific physical act that means to your body, the day is over, I can rest now. Maybe it's a cup of hot tea, changing into a particular pair of pajama pants, lighting one specific candle, or playing a certain song. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you do it the exact same way every time. This is your I'm off duty now signal. You're building a literal clock out mechanism, something your body can learn to recognize the same way it learned to recognize the danger cues, but now it's learning the safety cues. And you're doing this with the same type of repetition. Little by little, it learned to ramp up. So now little by little, it learns to come down. Number 6 is a compliment jar. Each night, write one true, kind sentence about yourself on a slip of paper and drop it in a jar. After being gaslit for years, after being told your perception was wrong, your memory was off, your feelings are absurd, your relationship with your own self-perception took real damage. This rebuilds it, one slip at a time, in your own handwriting, in your own words, and then on a hard day, reach in and pull one out. And remember that it's true. This is about your relationship with yourself. Number 7 is the do nothing timer. I love this one. Set a timer for 5 minutes and do absolutely nothing for 5 minutes. And I mean nothing, like no phone, no planning, no folding the laundry while you think, nothing. Just sit. I want you to notice something when you do this. If you're anything like me, stillness might feel unbearable at first. 30 seconds can feel like pure torture. Hypervigilant systems often can't tolerate doing nothing without panic or guilt creeping in, some voice insisting that you should be doing something useful. This practice allows you to learn stillness itself as a skill. on purpose, in small doses, until your body starts believing it's allowed. Personally, I may need to spend a little more time on this one. And now number 8, the petty playlist. Pick one ridiculous, dramatic, over-the-top song, angsty, triumphant, whatever fits your mood, and dance badly to it, all alone by yourself. One full song that fits your current mood. This one isn't deep here. It's not meant to be. It's not some big therapeutic breakthrough, life-stopping light bulb. We can't have those all the time. It's just permission to be a little silly, a little petty, in a space where absolutely no one is watching and no one is judging, including you. No self-judgment here. You've been judged enough in this life. You've spent a lifetime managing everyone else's reactions. This is one dance that belongs entirely to you. I think about that guard dog again. The one sleeping with one eye open, never actually letting its guard all the way down because for so long it wasn't safe to do so. That was me for a really long time. Stuck in the on position, even in my own bed after the divorce, living alone, even when nothing was wrong. These 8 tools aren't about forcing your system to relax through willpower. You're not white-knuckling your way through this. They're about giving it new, repeated evidence and experiences. A chair you walk away from, a jar filling up with proof, a candle that means your day is done. So slowly, that guard dog, your system, starts to believe that it's allowed to close both eyes and relax. You don't have to do all 8. Pick the ones that actually sound fun to you, the ones you genuinely look forward to, and start there. Tomorrow, read the list again, and maybe different ones will resonate with you. Let your heart guide you. Until next time, I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. If you've been listening for a while, you may already understand what's happening in your relationship. You can see the patterns, you can name the behaviors, but maybe you still feel stuck in the same cycle. This is where coaching comes in. It's not about learning more. It's about having the support to finally apply what you already know and begin to move forward. If you're ready for that next step, I invite you to join me in my coaching program. You can learn more about it at covertnarcissism.com. Your story matters, and you deserve to be heard without judgment. Check out my coaching services at my website, again, covertnarcissism.com. And don't forget to subscribe, to thumbs up, to follow, to like this podcast so that you can get more empowering episodes like this one and to help us continue spreading the word so that our community can continue to grow. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes and not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a healthcare provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those she has talked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support any allegation or support a claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of this material and information provided.
Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, or anxious? There is help. I'm Denise Eckert, host of the Calm Your Daily Stress podcast. Each week, I sit down with experts who share real stress relief techniques and practices you can start using today. Because you deserve to feel calm, not chaotic. Look for the Calm Your Daily Stress podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and start feeling better today.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.